Oh, you are recording now. Oh, okay.
I just stifled a coffee burp for you, Mark Green.
All right, so finish telling your story about the hot dog sauce.
Well, you know, so I'm from a place in I'm from a unique place. We all are, right? I'm from outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a mining. Coal mines were really big for 100 years, and all the miners would take all the cheapest. They were, very very and stuff, and they'd take the cheapest food that they could take to the mines for generations. Mm-hmm. This is how hot dog sauce got. I'm from Fairmont, West Virginia. It's about an hour southwest of Pittsburgh. And it's like hot dog capital of the world. My dad, I'm a hot dog legacy. My dad owned I know, it's true.
It's so early.
My dad owned a hot dog restaurant for 15 years. The first 15
awesome.
years
A
of my life.
restaurant, not like a hot dog stand?
A halftime hot dogs. It was a brick and mortar stationary restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Where he made his own hot dog sauce. So down here and in many other places around the country, we call it chili. People from Fairmont, people from this region, it's not chili. Chili is something you put in a bowl with beans and you eat it like by itself. Hot dog sauce is like a chili. It's ground beef and spices and tomato juice paste. I don't know the recipe because
tomato juice paste.
Tomato juice
like
paste.
You have failed your legacy.
I have failed my legacy. Sorry, Daddy. So we still make it. It's really cool. It goes on pepperoni buns. Do you guys know what a pepperoni bun is?
No,
but it sounds delicious.
It's the most. It
sounds like something I cannot eat.
I'm really excited.
I'm sure it has cheese in it.
Right. For sure it has cheese in it.
Then no.
Well, I've actually had to start cutting out a lot of gluten because I've started I have a diagnosis of gluten sensitivity when we were trying to find out everything, and I found out I was lactose intolerant too.
You poor child.
So I can't, if I eat too much, I start having headaches, and my body just feels sick.
I know what you mean.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
You are very lucky.
Sorry.
You are very lucky. So I'm like the
Sure.
pepperoni roll or whatever bun or whatever it was. I'm just like, it's probably got cheese and, well, obviously bread in it.
My dad will literally go and visit his brother up north, and he'll text me, "How many buns you want?" What that means is how many dozen of Country Club's world famous pepperoni buns from Fairmont, West Virginia do you want me to bring you down to Kentucky? And I often tell him 2 or 3 dozen because I have friends who want a dozen when he comes down. They're little mini loaves of bread with sliced stick pepperoni. It's the simplest thing. This also comes from the mining, the coal miners from generations. They would take pepperoni and bread because they were poor as dirt, right? And put them together, and eventually they got baked together. And you slice this sucker open, you guys. You put your little provolone cheese in there, right? There's also some Italian heritage mixed in because a lot of Italian immigrants settled in this area 100 years ago or so. And a little bit of this hot dog sauce. It is a comfort food. It is not good for you, and it is probably it is definitely bathtub worthy. Absolutely, it's bathtub approved. It gets the Brandon Thompson seal, bathtub seal. But let's talk about something other than food, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to happen.
No. Well, welcome to the Nerd Factor,
Hi,
a library
guys.
podcast of the Dewey Decibel System.
That is not our name.
That is not our name. Of the Madison County Public Library.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to
podcast
say.
We talk about food.
Actually, yeah, that's what it's turned into.
And things we cry about.
We have our confessional hour.
We definitely have
foods
a
that we
confessional
want
hour.
to lay in the tub with.
I've literally had a friend.
And we nerd out about stuff.
I've literally had a friend since we've been in this room text me and say, "I wonder what you'll be confessing today."
Well, yeah, last week it was the snack treat
fingers.
Snack treat
fingers.
Which I still want to call the snack spirit fingers.
It's fine. We could change it.
I like snack.
I told Tom about it, and I called it snacky fingers. That's what I called it, snacky fingers.
Well, so they're called the snack treat fingers originally, but I like snack because I have great snack spirit. So
snack spirit.
But you know, when you're eating some delicious chip, like Cheetos or Doritos that have the dust on there.
Give me that dust.
So you're wiping the dust off your fingers.
You're doing it wrong if you're wiping
dusting the dust.
You just do it right into my mouth.
Oh.
Wipe the dust off.
That's better.
I'm sorry. I think I said you could do it right into my mouth. I meant I could do it right into my mouth.
Just stop.
So
anyway,
just moving on. I'm April.
I'm Brandon. Good morning.
I'm Cece. What's up, guys?
It doesn't matter what time you're listening to this.
Morning,
it could be
day.
11 p.m.
Well, it's morning for us. It's morning for us.
It's definitely morning for us.
Wherever you
Definitely
are,
morning.
I hope your fingers are full of Cheetos dust.
Yes.
Full, not covered.
That's
full
a wonderful
Full
welcome
of
for anyone.
Saturated by.
Saturated with Cheeto dust. Bathtub full of Cheeto dust.
Sorry, we apologize to anyone who is trying to diet while listening to this podcast.
Hey, you can
because
get them
just-
baked. I eat them baked.
Fair point.
The baked Cheetos.
I've
I
never.
mean, yeah. But like you can eat 30 of them and it's
This
only like
is
100
true.
calories.
Yeah, no, seriously.
But they still look like they look like a Cheeto.
He holds up his
I just want to
pinky.
say that Brandon's holding up his pinky. That's a representation of what a Cheeto looks like. I mean, they're not the puffs. They're like the crunchy ones.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your finger doesn't look like a crunchy Cheeto.
Nope. Snacky
approximate-
fingers are now Cheeto
Cheeto
fingers.
Cheeto fingers. It's the approximate size of a crunchy little Cheeto that I want in my mouth. Maybe not.
I don't think so.
I have
See
Cheeto
what you
pinkies.
topic.
Perhaps the baked ones are really small.
Okay.
So over the weekend, a gigantic event is happening in Berea, Kentucky.
Oh yes, this coming weekend.
It is
Yes.
gigantic.
And you guys know what that is.
I do. Yeah.
It's the Spoonbread
It
Festival.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Brandon's going to be there.
You're going to be there
Quite
like
a
all
bit.
weekend,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Most of the weekend, yeah.
What do you
yeah.
have coming up there?
Holy cow!
Like what
geez.
don't we have coming
What
up there?
that's the right question. Well, I mean, we have Library Oki. Mark is going to be instrumental this year. Actually, he's coming and doing VR
you
viewer
playing a
demos.
music?
Mark is pretty much
Instrument?
instrumental everywhere.
No,
It's
no.
true.
I was just trying to. I don't know. I don't know. It's early.
He's doing VR viewer demos. He's going to demo our 3D printer, which I think people are going to be pretty excited about.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, our photo booth is going to be there all weekend, and so we're not doing everything all the time because we couldn't staff it. So we're kind of we're doing things in shifts, if you will. So photo booth from like 4 to 8 on Saturday. I remember that. It's all on our website.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Lots
yeah,
of fun stuff.
it's going to
And
be
our-
super duper.
And our Couch to 5K team always runs the
Right,
5K, which is
right.
pretty cool.
Yeah, so look out for the Madison County Public Library
Couch to 5K.
and the Madison County Public Library runners. I think that's 3
Yeah.
so far.
Sweet.
So, do y'all know what Spoonbread is?
I do. I used to work at Boone Tavern. My
Oh,
very
well, then you
first
definitely know
job
what
was
it
at
is.
Boone Tavern.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my very first job was at Boone Tavern.
Okay.
And I would frequently serve out Spoonbread. That would be my job for that shift. I would go around and serve Spoonbread to people.
Is Spoonbread like the hot dog sauce of Central Kentucky?
Actually, kind of.
Is
I
that
think.
like a
yeah.
colloquial
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
I think it's
Yeah.
like
Regional?
more specifically Berea, Kentucky.
Yeah, I think
Berea
you're right.
loves them
Central.
some
Yeah.
They
Spoonbread.
do,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
okay.
do.
But I don't know much
But,
about
you
it,
know,
honestly.
I remember when I was growing up, the Spoonbread Festival didn't exist.
No.
It didn't start until I was
In fact, it didn't start until 1997.
right. I was to say I was in
Ah.
high school when it started.
It was a good year. It was the year after Independence Day was in theaters. In fact, we were still like we were
still reeling from it.
we had the summer of Will Smith, you know.
It's
Yeah.
true.
And
Yeah.
then the next summer was Men in Black. It was right after Men in Black summer when Spoonbread began.
Wow.
I wonder if those are connected in any way.
some way they
You
have to
know?
be.
The Summer of Will.
if you've ever
Summer of
had
Will.
Spoonbread, you might think so.
I would like for Will Smith
It's
to
kind
come.
of bleh, consistency.
See, I love it. I think it's like.
Do you?
I like it after a certain point. I don't like it when it's hot because it's just too.
Well, see, my dad makes it.
I don't even
And
Nice.
know.
my
how-
dad is a great
I don't even know
cook.
what word I want to use to describe it.
Well, I'll give you some.
Okay, good, good.
But like every year for me, whenever I want it, my dad makes a fried chicken dinner, and I ask for Spoonbread instead of cornbread, which is not super popular among the rest of my family. But
so
you know,
get all the Spoonbread.
right. But he has like a special dish that he
Yeah, I have one
makes it
that we got
in,
as a wedding present.
and I smother chicken gravy on top of it. It's the
Okay.
greatest thing in the world.
Really?
Cece, can you differentiate between cornbread and spoonbread for
Yes.
me and maybe other people?
So Spoonbread is a quote unquote savory pudding.
Yes.
Or are you ready for this? A moist cornmeal based dish,
Delicious.
Moist.
I would like to have
I know.
many of them right now.
similar to a cornmeal souffle.
A moist.
Yeah, it's got a lot of eggs in it. It's very, very eggy.
Oh, it
Yes.
is like
It's
Yeah.
very, very eggy.
Yeah,
but
it
the
is.
difference, the way we make it here, is we
Yeah.
don't usually whip the eggs here,
Huh.
so it's still really dense.
Yeah,
So, like,
it is.
It's
Because as it
very,
cools
very
down,
dense.
it gets more and more dense.
Yes, it's very moist and dense.
Moist.
I know people hate that word, but like
I think
it's the only way really to describe what
it really
Spoonbread
is.
is.
It really is. And also, speaking of the word moist, it is one of those words that gives you the feeling that is exactly what that word describes.
Okay.
No, I mean
Say,
like
say more on that,
no,
April.
God.
Say more on
No,
that.
Yeah, no,
moving on.
like damp. Like it now feels damp in here.
Or the word crunchy.
Hmm.
It
Or the words Cheeto fingers.
or Cheeto fingers. Yes.
So while we've been talking, I have been looking up a Facebook post of my own from 2015. It's about the word moist because I have a little. I take issue with the fact that people are disturbed by moist. It's like this cultural. It's a meme, really. It's trended
It has.
throughout.
Yeah.
Our, people are like moist. Don't say moist. Here's what I wrote. June 15th, 2015. We spend all this time talking about how much we hate the word moist and how uncomfortable it makes us, and all the while, raunchy is just out there laughing at us.
I remember this.
Allowed to roam the landscape completely unchecked. We should really reassess our priorities. There are far grosser words, my friends, than moist.
Well, yeah,
This is very
so
true.
much
Very
so.
true.
Raunchy is just green and smoking and just like a stinking trash pile.
It's like in cartoons when they've got a really stinky cheese and it's got like that
Oh,
green,
yeah, the green
wave
gas.
coming off of it.
Yeah.
That is raunchy.
That is
that
raunch.
green wave is raunchy.
Raunch to the extreme.
That's what it is. But Spoonbread is not raunchy.
No.
It's very, very good. So we think that it is original Native American dish,
Okay.
and they used to call it awenda,
Awanda.
Awanda.
Awendaw.
Awinda, I guess. I don't know.
So we started to cook it here because cornmeal replaced yeast in the way that we cook things. So I guess that was just like a more creative cornbread. Because I guess you would get tired of cornbread like all the time.
Well, I mean, and like, when did we start cooking Spoonbread?
The first printed recipe appeared in a cookbook by Sarah Rutledge in 1847.
You have done your
Wow.
Spoonbread homework.
Well, so
man.
so in 1847, though, yeast is actually fairly delicate. You still have to manage to keep it alive,
that's
or you
right,
have to
yeah.
start it,
True.
and things like that.
Yeah.
So I can imagine when. And if it's too hot, it'll die. If it's too cold, it'll die. So I can imagine seeing corn that you can grow yourself and have
Right.
readily available and dry.
And I mean, corn is easy to grow
yeah,
here.
and corn is easy to grow. So I can imagine that actually being a very, very good
Just putting the
replacement for
two-
yeast.
Yeah, putting the two together. I see. That makes good sense.
So do y'all want to know how to make it?
Yeah.
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 Now I'm
see.
gonna have to go home and make some
I mean,
Spoonbread.
since I moved to Berea, I mean, it's such an interesting thing. People really who are outside of this region come to this region, and it's like such a novel, unknown. It was for me. I'm like, what's this exotic thing called Spoonbread? And I've tried it once. Truth is, I didn't love it. I'd like to try
Maybe
it
you
again.
did it. Maybe you just didn't. Maybe it was just bad.
I'd like to
Spoonbread.
smother it with chicken gravy, frankly.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I've never
What
done
I-
that. I always
Anything
put
with
butter and
chicken.
honey
Awesome.
on it.
That'd be good too.
See, I always
But
'cause
chicken
that's how I
gravy
eat
is super
cornbread.
good. Like
Butter and
fried
honey.
chicken
Oh
gravy.
my!
That
give
sounds
me that
awesome.
twice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds actually
And see,
really,
my
really
dad
awesome.
cannot have dairy either, so he makes the non-dairy version of it.
Nom nom nom.
I know.
Okay.
And now
I need to come over and have dinner.
Yeah, dude.
Chicken gravy fingers.
Chicken gravy fingers.
We are all
So-
Epicureans.
So this is the Boone Tavern Spoonbread.
This is the stuff I served out.
Spoonbread recipe. What was
The
that?
chicken gravy fingers hit me like way later. It came in waves.
Imagine.
You drink more coffee.
And this is from 1955. So I guess
Awesome.
that's when it was,
Wow.
perfected.
I think that's when Boone Tavern started. Like it became a staple at Boone Tavern.
Gotcha.
Maybe I don't know.
Gotcha.
I'm not up
mean,
on my
it's
Boone
kinda
Tavern
like-
history. I failed that course in orientation.
I mean, it's kind of like the hot brown. Is what my guess is.
Right.
I-
Like the brown.
I have tried to like a hot brown, and I just
Well, I
don't.
can't eat it because of
Well,
all the,
that too.
Like, there's no way to non-dairyfy, if you will.
No.
Oh, is it
Hot
like
brown.
cheesy cheese and
Oh,
cheese?
man.
Oh, it's
It's like covered in
Okay,
everything.
okay. I've never had a hot brown. Yeah.
Okay, so it's got milk in it. It's got cornmeal, eggs, butter, baking powder, and salt.
You would think it would be more than that.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be like
Quite
something
simple.
like cream of tartar or something to make it like fluffy and stuff. Because cream of tartar would be what you put in a meringue, but
I guess the eggs just keep it really dense.
yeah. See,
I
I
feel
like
like-
to eat it not when it's hot because the texture is just too mushy for me at that point.
It is
Yeah.
pretty mushy.
But once it starts to cool down a little bit, it's not cold, but once it's cooled down a little bit and it's still warm, that's when I like to eat it.
Because it's a little bit more solid.
It's
Well,
a
the
little more
way that
solid.
my dad makes his,
More
it's
like corn
not
pudding.
mushy at all.
Okay.
Like
Really?
it's, I mean, it's it's not dry, but it's not mushy. Because again, my dad is a perfect cook.
I wonder if it has something to do with like our Anglican, like in this area, right? So there's a lot of like British, Irish settlers, and all
the
of
Appalachian region is
the
a lot.
Appalachian region, right, for sure. So I wonder if you mentioned corn pudding, which we all know is a staple. I was in madrigal dinners when I was in college in the Old English tradition. We were singing about corn pudding. You know what I mean? So that goes way back to most of our country of origin. So I'm just curious if that. If it all kind of comes together, and that, you know what I mean? It's like this.
I would say so.
It's like this beautiful synthesis of like it could be that cultural heritage from like long before, and then of course we mentioned it's easy to grow corn and yeast in this region, and
the Appalachian region has so many traditions that are all their own that are a blend of all of the different groups of people that settled in that area.
That's hot dog sauce and pepperoni buns. That's Italian heritage.
Right. Yeah.
Meets dirt poor West Virginia coal miners.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So then you have your own culture coming out of that.
Right.
But
speaking of, so I was looking for a cookbook.
Okay.
Because we have one that's like a Kentucky cookbook with Spoonbread, recipes and stuff like that.
Yeah, we probably have the Boone Tavern cookbook as well.
We
Because I know
do.
they put out a couple.
They are all currently checked out, but I found this gem. It's called The Kentucky Housewife by Mrs. I'm going to guess it's Lettice Bryan, but it's also spelled kind of like lettuce.
Yeah.
But it's Lettice.
Okay.
So it's either Lettuce Bryan or Lettice
Did you
Bryan.
enjoy leafing through that book?
Oh, good one. All right, good one.
Thank you. Takes the bow.
The dad pun is strong with you.
Right. So there are so many interesting... I'm sure that there's a pork knuckle recipe in here.
There better be. If there's not,
but there's all kinds
the
of ways. There's all kinds of ways to like roast a squirrel.
Really?
Yep. So this was originally printed in 1839.
Well, that would make perfect sense then.
Like squirrel, rabbit.
How about that?
Like all kinds of really.
Have any of you guys ever eaten squirrel or anything exotic?
No,
what we might call exotic.
I can
gator.
hardly eat meat as it is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty grossed out by it.
Gator.
I've eaten gator.
Is gator rubbery like I imagine it would be? Chewy?
No. It's seriously. They joke about everything tasting like chicken.
Yeah.
It really tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken. Yeah.
It
I've had
tastes like
frog
chicken.
legs, and that's as
I can't do
exotic
that.
as I've gone. Yeah.
I don't like to see something that looks like what it was.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
and that's where I am with
Yeah.
frog legs. Nope,
Right.
nope.
Right. Yeah, I had 'em
Like
one time.
shrimp with like heads on them. I can't do that.
Ooh, no.
Nope.
Whiskers, shrimp whiskers,
Yeah.
shrimp whisker fingers.
Nope. No. And that's where we stop.
My skin is crawling like you said the word moist or raunchy.
Well, I actually have a cookbook at home that was given to me as a wedding gift called Berea's Best, and it's all of these recipes from like the 1950s and 60s from different, mostly from women in Berea, but a lot of actually there's several recipes in there from different men in Berea as well. And they're all, it's like, I had to look up some of the terms because I didn't understand what it was.
Right.
Like oleo, I didn't know what
that?
that was. It's like shortening. In fact, actually, I think it might be a type of shortening. But it was something that they used specifically, I believe, around World War II because as a substitute.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have heard of that.
And so it had become a part of these recipes. And so this cookbook is full of these. And there's a Spoonbread recipe in there. There's all kinds of different things. But I had to look up some of the
that would
stuff.
be similar to like a Crisco or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's similar to
Or
that.
lard.
Or lard.
Whatever.
So I'm over here flipping through the Kentucky Housewife as you guys chat.
Cookbook.
By Mrs. Lettice Bryan.
Available at the Madison County Public
lettuce.
Library.
It is, right. And it's really like a beautiful spirit of the times.
It
Like,
really is,
it's
yeah.
absolutely beautiful. You can tell that the pages have been, I'm going to say they've been scanned from probably their original
Definitely.
presentation.
That's
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The font is for sure something
It's
out of the 1800s.
very, very old for
Yeah.
sure, and it just feels like it's so just listen to some of these titles: common egg bread, pumpkin cakes, pumpkin hoe cakes, Indian water cakes. I got Johnny cakes. What's a Johnny cake? I got
A Johnny cake.
know?
It's like a cornbread, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like cornbread pancakes basically.
Yeah,
is what
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand
Make
it to
a
be.
thin dough sifted of Indian meal and lukewarm water or
What
sweet milk.
cornmeal?
Yeah, okay.
Cornmeal,
That's all
okay.
they call it. Isn't
I'm
that
gonna
so
guess.
cool?
See, I was going to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
if the language in there was
Yeah.
had been updated or if it was still like what they would have used back
There's
then.
no doubt that for sure. And like I got hooked on the cream toasts and the water toasts. So it was like, how many different things can you do with toast?
So what's a cream toast?
A cream toast. So both of these are just toasts in some kind of liquid, like sat
Okay.
down on a
So
plate.
it's soggy bread.
Soggy bread is and
That's nasty.
Miss-
That's just I can't.
Miss Lettice Bryan goes on to say that they are very fine for people of delicate appetite. So if somebody comes,
So if all you can eat is milk and bread.
Sounds like my birthday breakfast for my kids.
right? If someone came to your table, I guess like the vegan of 19 or of 18.
no.
It would have been
You couldn't
like
eat
tea
vegan.
toast.
Oh yeah, you're
Because
right.
It'd have been like
milk.
tea.
Oh yeah,
and
you're because of
bread
the
and
milk.
Water.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
water.
Water.
And actually, most bread has
Then it
eggs
would
in
be my birthday
so
breakfast for
egg-
my
or,
kids.
Bread is not a vegan thing
Well,
either.
these
A vegan would have just died.
very
Yeah.
genteel
Back in the
folk
day.
of the late 1800s were
Wow.
eating their cream bread and their water bread. I
A
expect.
vegan would be out in the yard eating grass.
There's no doubt. Kind of like you in the
Kinda like
apocalypse.
No,
yeah.
like
Apocalypse.
that would be me back then anyway because I could not kill something and eat it.
Yeah,
There's
same,
no
yeah,
way.
Yeah.
You just better hope that you're wealthy.
Right on. For sure.
Just hope you're wealthy so somebody else can do it for you.
Well, I need to be in a different field.
Well, yes.
Literally and metaphorically.
Yes.
Oh.
Brandon is on point with the
Well, he
digestive.
is.
Feeling very punny to this morning.
Well, speaking of wedding gifts, today is actually my 9-year wedding anniversary.
Bum, bum, ba, bum.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. I'm so proud of myself. I
9
actually
years.
remember.
Gosh, so you all were like 12 when you got married?
Right? 11 and a half.
Yeah, yes. We'll just go with yes.
Did your
No.
parents consent?
Well, sorry, you just completely derailed me on that one. I'm like, wait, what?
We eloped to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes, exactly. The gorilla was our priest.
Yeah, man. His animatronic servos in his
I knew you.
Pardon?
Wasn't that no?
Was what?
Showbiz Pizza?
Showbiz. You
Was Chuck
know
E. Pizza.
Showbiz? Was Showbiz
Chuck E.
down?
Cheetah? What did I just say?
Chuck E. Pizza.
What did I just say?
Combination of the two.
I kind of want some Chuck E.
But
Cheetah in my
wasn't-
face right now.
So wait, Chuck E. Cheese, do they have the little animatronic band thing?
Yeah, they did.
But
Okay.
Showbiz Pizza was...
Showbiz is the one that I'm thinking of.
Well,
so
they both had a band, I believe, an animatronic band.
I'm just thinking of the little things, like how they move.
You
like,
guys-
You could, like hear the robots.
No, you could... It was...
Robot?
That's why
Is
it
that
was...
what it is?
No,
Is
they
that
were
what you
like
call it?
mechanic. It was like Teddy Ruxpin, like
Yeah.
Fever Dream Nightmare. Hello, Brandon. Like you could... Like sparks are shooting out of its ears. It's
Five
going...
Nights at Freddy's.
It's going to kill us all, and we gave it to every 4-year-old child in America.
But you know what? Like when I
Right?
was a kid, like clowns terrified me.
Dude.
And I cannot believe that I was able to enjoy a Showbiz Pizza because that stuff is far scarier.
I had
than
a crush.
clown.
I had a crush on the cheerleader mouse. Her name was Mitzi, and I had
Oh
like, legit.
my goodness.
That's my confession. for
Oh
today.
my God! Confessional hour with Brandon.
I legit wanted her to be
A
like my
mouse
girlfriend.
human.
Yeah, a mouse human. Yeah, it's true.
An animatronic
An
mouse human,
animatronic,
no less.
terrifying, servo-whirring, cheerleader, 7-foot tall female mouse named Mitzi was my first crush. Maybe. Yeah,
Oh my!
it's true.
Oh wow!
That's your confession for the day.
That is definitely-
That's, I'm sure it won't be the last.
Yeah, it moved on to Gadget from Rescue Rangers. Let's continue.
Oh,
about
okay,
your-
okay. Oh, hey, Gadget.
You have an interesting taste.
You really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Well,
I
had a
always
big
had a thing
crush
for
on
Gadget. Yeah.
Chippendale.
Did you? Yeah, no.
Rescue Rangers?
Yeah, dude.
No, that's a joke.
Oh,
It's
I'm
a
over here being like,
cartoon. It's a cartoon.
yeah, dude. He had that
chipmunk.
Indiana Jones hat. I can see
I
it.
always wanted to be Gadget, though. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, dude. Gadget had the moves.
Oh my God. Okay, so
funny.
anyway,
Anyway.
so today is my anniversary, and so it got me thinking about different wedding traditions and things like that, and why we do the things that we do surrounding weddings, and
God,
it's
that's a wonderful question.
That is a good
It
question.
is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I started looking into these different traditions, and it's so funny because diamond engagement rings were not a thing until the 1950s, I believe.
Really?
Oh,
No,
wow.
1930s. Actually, it was
It's still quite recent.
yeah.
the 30s,
It's still quite
Yeah.
recent.
which is not a
And it was-
super.
No, it really wasn't. It was all
Economically
a
friendly
marketing
time.
campaign by De Beers.
Huh.
And so their slogan is "A diamond is forever."
Right.
And so part of it is it's actually one of the most. Actually, it might be the most successful marketing campaign in the history of
I would say
everything.
So, if it's been around for that long.
And it has only become a part of our culture to give diamond engagement rings since they started this campaign, because they had so many diamonds, and so they were wanting people to buy them. But the resale value on diamonds is like nothing.
Right. Yeah, right, for sure.
And so their whole slogan, so a diamond is forever. They want you to. I
guess I'm keeping this thing.
This exorbitant amount to buy this diamond. And then keep it forever, because if you try and resell it, you can't.
Yeah.
I wonder why the resale value is, and I don't expect that you know this, April, but I'm curious, like, I've gone to a pawn shop with a diamond ring before. Like my mom gave me a diamond, like she had a bunch of jewelry, and she was like, here, do you want this? Do you want to, this was many years ago, like high school. Maybe one day you'll want to give this to your future wife, and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, or you can sell it. I don't care. So I was like, I'm just going to see about, it was like a pretty big, I don't know, carats. I don't know the technical specs of my mom's old diamond ring, but they're going to give me like $25. You know? Like,
Well, it turns out that there's actually a surplus of diamonds. Like they have a ton of them.
Right.
They're all over the place.
Well, plus gold, like if you pawn gold or if you sell it or whatever, they can melt it down and turn it into something else.
Right on.
And make it into something different and sell it for more money.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, it makes plenty of sense.
Yeah.
You can't really like melt down a diamond.
And so the whole idea that you're supposed to spend 2 months' salary on a ring. Oh my God, that's an insane amount of money. But so that whole let's see, the slogan "A diamond is forever." What I discovered in my research was that it was actually written by a woman in their marketing department who actually never married.
Oh,
all right.
So irony right there. And then
Peggy on Mad Men.
the arbitrary number of 2 months was just chosen. That's how much they think you should spend.
I remember,
and knowing all of this doesn't change the fact that you still want the ring.
I remember hearing that, like, as a kid. Like, so this has been like a thing. People have obviously been saying it since the 1930s. And as a kid, I was like, oh, 2 months salary. That's not so bad. Like, because when I was 7, I didn't realize that you had to spend that money on other things also, like every other thing,
like food,
like food.
You know.
Oh my gosh. Well, what's crazy though is the wedding tax.
What?
There's a wedding. It's not an actual tax, but studies have shown that when you are planning a wedding, the moment you attach the word wedding to it, it will immediately jump up in price. And that florists, bakeries, caterers, anything like that, the moment you attach wedding to something, it will cost so much more than it would if you were doing something, say a birthday party or some other event of the same size.
I think it's just because they know you're going to pay it. You know, like if you want a certain thing, you're not going to not do it because of the cost. I mean, some people, you know.
So is the advice then for you and your sweetie to set your wedding date, tell your family and friends, but lie to the florist and say, well, Aunt Ethel died, so we need some flowers.
Use a casket spray for your centerpiece.
Flower's a flower, right?
Poor old Aunt Ethel.
Or don't use flowers.
Okay.
Or use silk ones and do them yourself.
That's what I did. Say. I mean, I feel like now people are sort of bucking, you know, wedding traditions.
Yeah, that's for sure true.
From the ring on through. I mean, I wear like a little silicone band.
Nice.
And so many people that I've seen wear the same thing because
I've never noticed that. Yeah, that's awesome.
So if I go for a run, I don't have to worry about a ring that I'm gonna you know, cry over flying off into the road or something.
That's awesome.
Or if I wash my hands or dishes or whatever, and then people with kids have started to wear these because their big rings scratch their child.
Or you knock it against something and you're afraid you're going to knock a stone out or something like that. I can't tell you how many times I've knocked this thing against a door or a wall or anything.
And then my sweetie wears a band, and that's all we do. So I mean, I feel like there's just so many different ways to do things now.
Oh yeah, there
definitely
are.
as compared to 1930.
Right.
Oh yeah,
no doubt about it, for sure.
And what's really interesting, the tradition of brides wearing white did not start until Queen Victoria started that. She wore white for her own wedding, and it was actually all of these traditions that we know in our society, in our culture. most of them are just ways to show wealth.
For sure.
Oh, of
So
course.
a white dress.
The whole wedding is.
That's all it. Yeah, that's all it is.
That's right.
So the white dress was actually because white was so hard to keep clean. It was only intended to be worn once. So if you wore a white dress, you were so wealthy that you could afford to have multiple dresses. Whereas
Also,
most people just wore whatever they had that was clean.
Right. Which is what I think I will intend to do. But yeah, I mean, funny how that even has changed. Like that white dress thing has changed.
Oh, for
It
sure.
really has. And I want to say it's been over the last, not even like 10 years, but like over the last 5 or 6 years, really, like since Pinterest, really has changed because people are getting on there and they're doing so much. There's all of this DIY trend, and then
big time,
and then people are bucking traditions and just kind of, what we think of as traditions, but actually aren't really. They're such a conglomeration of everything, all of these different cultures. It's so fascinating. It was a rabbit hole once I started going down there. It was crazy, some of the stuff that I discovered. One of the interesting traditions in Scotland that I discovered was the blackening of the bride and groom.
Pardon?
The blackening.
Does this involve soot?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
Okay.
But actually, I guess it could, but, they will take them, and I don't know if they do, I couldn't find out if it was before or after the wedding that they did this, or like where in the whole process of getting married this happened. But the idea was that their friends would take them and sometimes strip them naked, tie them to a pole, and then cover them with dirt and mud and feathers, or like food, all sorts of different things.
I've never heard of anything more
Smelly
indicative
fish,
right?
of the institution of marriage than this tradition. Please continue.
Well, so they would cover them in this and then parade them around town for the most embarrassment that they could possibly get. And the idea was that if they could stand this, then they could stand being married.
Why have we not kept this tradition? This is important. I am reinstating it in my personal life, and I'm going to start talking to people about this.
I do not want to be your friend then.
No, yeah. Well, it's like as long I'm already married, so I'm good. So I'll just.
No, dude, you got to do it retroactively.
Oh, great. Well, see, Tom and I argue, of course, as any couple who lives together and shares a life together will after a while. You're going to disagree, but we don't have that kind of a marriage where it's like, if you can stand all of this nastiness, then you can stand being married to each other.
Good for you guys. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful, rare thing, I think. That's awesome.
It is. We have a great relationship. I love him a lot.
Well, happy anniversary.
Yeah,
thank you.
happy
He's my sweetie.
anniversary. 2 years ago, a little bit more, some friends of mine who I knew were in a super happy relationship, and they were on the path to getting married. We all thought. They took me outside one day at a friend's gathering, and they asked me if I'd ever considered getting ordained as a minister because they wanted me to marry them. And I remember like how moving that was, that like two people would want me to be a part, like that super special part of like one of the most super special, like ritualistic, sacred moments of their lives. So I like wept, and I was like, yes. So I got ordained. And I've been doing weddings. Y'all may know that. I've been done about 10 weddings in the past few years. It's like a little side gig for me.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. Very recently, I did a bookstore wedding.
I saw pictures of that.
I know. I mentioned
I'm friends with a photographer, so I saw some of the pictures from that.
I mention it because, things have changed.
Was that the Roby Books?
It was at Roby and Roby, for sure, in Berea. And the owners wanted to get married and wanted it to be very simple. We sat on the floor and read poetry. They read a sweet children's book by Georgella Lyon to each other, and it was in a bookstore, and it was beautiful and so non-traditional. And so I have this lens. I haven't done a single traditional wedding. I did a Star Wars Lord of the Rings wedding a little over a year ago.
Interesting.
Right, where the bride...
Actually, that's funny, because I was a part of a Star Wars wedding in May.
Were you really?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. The bride walked down to a song from Attack of the Clones Star Wars movie with a love theme, Anakin and Padme's love theme, and we all cautioned her. We're like, it didn't work out well for Anakin and Padme, right? It doesn't matter. So anyway, but I incorporated like the Lord of the Rings quotes into their ceremony. Anyway, weddings are changing.
So
it's okay. Our bride and groom walked down to the Imperial March.
Love it. Perfect.
By the bride's request.
Amazing. Nice.
So I just did a little quick and dirty catalog search
Okay.
on library's catalog.
At the
Keyword wedding.
Madison County
At
Public
the
Library.
Madison County Public Library.
MCPL.
MadisonLibrary.org is our website.
Yes.
Come see us.
Keyword wedding. Guess how many results I got?
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Thousands.
1,500.
4,987.
God,
Oh, my gosh.
5,000 wedding hits.
Yeah.
Just in our collection
Yeah.
here. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Almost so basically 5,000.
Yeah.
We're just going to round up.
See, that seems like a lot. Does that include, like, I don't know,
It's
like
everything. So it's just like a regular
CDs of
keyword
wedding
search.
music?
So,
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
any fiction,
Fiction
that
books,
has
yeah.
that mentions weddings.
Okay.
Also,
Actually, the first.
craft books.
The second one is a fiction book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Wedding cakes is the first return.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Oh, speaking of wedding cakes, another tradition started by Queen Victoria was the white wedding cake,
No
because
doubt.
white sugar was basically like spun gold. It was so hard to get because it was so refined that it was just another way to show your wealth. Because if you
wonder-
had a cake, it wasn't going to be white.
I wonder how many things we do now that like came from showing how rich you are back in the day.
Oh, my goodness.
So I just bought a
Wedding
house.
wise or just in general?
In general.
Oh,
I just
I
bought
wonder.
a house, and most of it has hardwood floors.
Mm-hmm.
Carpet is in a couple rooms. And I was saying, eventually I want to pull the carpet up and just have hardwood floors throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And my dad was telling me, because the house was built in like 1945.
Mm-hmm.
So then my dad was saying, back in the day, a hardwood floor showed that you're poor.
Yeah.
Whereas
Oh, is that
now,
Just thinking that.
now
Oh.
a hardwood floor is like what everybody
Oh, yeah, it's
you know,
coveted.
wants.
Yeah,
It's like the
right.
Yeah.
coveted thing.
Right.
So like, 9 times out of 10 in an old house, you can pull up, the orange shag carpet, which is not what I
Yep,
have.
and there's
but,
nice,
Right.
nice
and
floor
there's
underneath.
like, beautiful hardwood floors beneath there.
Yeah.
How about that?
Mhm.
I wonder. I'm not quite sure. Is it? I guess is it just because it was cheaper?
Yeah.
Hardwood floors. Back
I mean, I would assume that that's what the floor was when you built a house.
I
Like
would
you
assume
probably
the
put
same,
like
yeah.
wood down or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you had money, then
Right.
you covered that beautiful wood with
and then
Yeah.
the,
Carpet.
carpets came in and began and they trended in.
Yeah.
Right. I
Right.
guess.
And now they're
Okay.
trending
Well, I
back out.
remember
Okay,
going to Colonial Williamsburg and going to the governor's mansion and seeing the
Mhm.
carpets in there.
Hmm.
And they were not anything that I would want in my house. They are some interesting patterns and colors.
Hmm.
But that was another way of showing wealth, was
Mhm.
these fabulous carpets that were wall to wall, and
Mhm.
the more wealth you had, the more carpets you could afford.
Hmm.
Plus also for allergens, the only rooms in our house that have carpet are the bedrooms, and then we have
Same.
carpet that we just laid on the floor downstairs. It's not like put down; it's just
Mhm.
rolled out. But that's concrete floor,
Yeah.
and it's in the basement, so it actually helps keep it warmer.
Right.
But for allergies, I'm at the point where as soon as the kids move out, I'm like, get the carpet out of
Yeah.
there, get rid of it.
I feel like I have lazy feet or something, or maybe I'm just because I like the comfort.
Spirit fingers and lazy feet.
I like the comfort of a carpeted. Like I get it. I think that hardwood floors are beautiful, right?
Mhm.
And I'm attracted to them for that purpose. But like I want to like lay around on my floor and like eat snack treats like
On the carpet?
on my back on like a shaggy.
You're all a cat.
Like
That's what my
like
cat
a,
does.
I'm like a thick, like comfortable, warm shaggy. I don't want.
You know
hardwood.
what?
Hardwood
I-
is like unforgiving and like hard.
I do
and-
understand that, because like if I don't lay on the floor in my house,
Mm.
but if I go to somebody else's house where I'm comfortable,
Yeah.
I'll lay on the floor. and
Just
take that
walk in a
carpet.
strange's
I just
house.
walk in a stranger's house, roll around,
Curl
on the
up
floor.
like a cat.
I'm also a cat.
Start purring.
Yeah.
But that's really close to what I actually do. So
It's all right. Well, you're not going to be.
carpet.
You'll go downstairs in my house and just roll around on the carpet.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. Like Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo,
Yeah.
woo,
It's the
woo.
second time in our podcast I've compared my. Oh yeah, snack treat fingers were the first.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of homie in me.
All right. Well, what you got, Brandon?
Yup. So, hi everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Every time we go to you,
Nerd
you thank
Factor.
people for
Podcast.
listening.
Oh, is that
thanks
true?
Thanks for
Oh,
sticking with
Thanks
us.
for sticking it out.
Well,
Half an hour in.
I think it's because I'm afraid. I'll be transparent about that. I think it's because I'm afraid when y'all throw it to me, people are going to be like, "All right, I'm done."
Time to switch it off now.
It's that
So
that
if you
guy
thank
again. Yeah,
They're like, oh, well, he's so nice.
he's so gracious.
nice.
I
We'll
can't
stick
turn it
around.
I'll
off.
give him another few minutes.
Oh,
that's kind of
jeez.
that's my.
What
plan.
is Brandon going to bring up today?
So thanks for sticking with me, you guys. I want to talk about something. I've kind of been waiting to talk about
Oh,
what I
man.
want to talk about today. Yeah, I've been biding my time, and I want to build it up. It may not be like super epic or funny, but
now I'm like, oh God, what are
Right.
we going to talk about now?
here's the thing: I've talked about this topic that I want to talk about today many times. April, you brought up fandoms, I think on our first podcast, and this comes up for me probably at every podcast, but the time hasn't been right. The iron hasn't been hot enough until today.
I'm ready for this plane to land.
Because
Oh, yeah.
yesterday,
I'm like, this better be really good.
I
The
got-
anticipation.
yeah, I got the news yesterday that we all got the news.
Oh, I know what you're talking
That
about.
J.J. Abrams is going to be directing the final Star Wars film in the new Star Wars trilogy, Episode
Yes.
9, and I cried and screamed and kicked things and broke
posted
my little toe.
angry things on
and
Facebook.
Posted angry things on Facebook.
Did he direct the first one?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
He
Sure
did.
enough, Episode 7,
Yeah.
The Force Awakens,
Yes.
he did. And you know something I want to say, like, there's a lot I want to say. Like, here's what I'll start this way. And I don't say this out of ego. I am the biggest Star Wars fan that I know. I understand that sounds like, right? It's the plain and simple truth that I haven't met another person in my lifespan who like has done as much Star Wars stuff as I've done, or has like dived into the mythos as deeply as I've dived. I'll share a quick story to illustrate this. I was at Walt Disney World in 2007, and at MGM Studios, you know, they have the ride Star Tours.
Mm-hmm.
They're developing the whole Star Wars land now. I hope that the hurricane didn't blow it away. So every ride at Disney World, as you know, ejects you through the gift shop.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my list ready, you guys. I'm a Star Wars collector. I have a small climate-controlled storage building.
Dude.
Climate controlled.
I have a small
Wow.
climate-controlled storage building in
Wow.
Lawrence County, Kentucky, that I pay for every month.
Wow.
Direct deposit out of my bank account, where I have a lot of Star Wars collectibles and things.
That's
So-
all that's in there.
That's all that's in there. Yeah, it's yeah.
Wow.
Right.
You know, okay.
Yeah, that's all that's in there.
Everybody's got their flag.
Everybody's got their thing.
That's maybe a red flag, right? Anyway, so I knew exactly what, because they were like Disneyland exclusives. So I was going to get the certain pins, the Boba Fett pin, and a shirt, and an action figure. So I had all this stuff in my hands, and I was with my then girlfriend. We had gone together, and from some far corner of the gift shop, I heard, "Step right up, stump the Star Wars nerd, and win a prize." So I threw everything at her. I was like, "Hold this." And I'm running towards the other end of it, and I'm like knocking 7-year-olds out of the way because I'm going to come stump this. I just was sure that I was going to be able to stump the Star Wars nerd and win a prize, which I did. With
Wow.
trivia, of course. Like, you can't come get some, which I did. And the prize I won was this great carbon fiber Force FX, like $300 on eBay, Mace Windu lightsaber.
Wow.
Okay, right.
Wow,
So, okay,
actually.
I understand that all of this sounds like me just being like, "Oh, I'm the coolest Star Wars," but is that really a thing that you can actually say to people? Is
Sure.
I'm cool because I love Star Wars? No.
I think, yeah.
In the right group, yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't think
I mean, you can't
anybody
go
now is
into
gonna give you
any.
grief for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know?
I've gotten some
Also,
in my
you're an
day.
adult. Who
That's true.
cares?
That's true.
Yeah, this is very true.
Appreciate that. That's all true. Right. It's not like impeding my life. So anyway,
Right.
okay. So huge Star Wars fan, and I mean, I don't know. When I was in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, all of my peers were like dating. You know, I was reading Michael Stackpole and Aaron Alston Star Wars novels. I absolutely I know all of the whole story. I know the name of the woman that Wedge Antilles marries in the expanded universe.
Okay, dude.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I know, right? Good.
It's like he's speaking English. I'm not sure, though.
Aiella Wasiri is her name, by the way. So the new trilogy. I'm curious. I've just been shooting off the mouth here. What do you guys think about? Did you like The Force Awakens? Did you see it? What are your
You
feelings
and I have
about it?
discussed this a little bit
Yeah.
in that, and we are on opposite sides of this. I love J.J. Abrams.
Okay, awesome.
And I enjoy his work as a director.
Okay.
And as a writer, as a like his ideas and like creating series and everything like that.
Right on.
Pretty much if he's got his name on it, I'm probably going to watch it.
Did you like Lost?
I loved Lost.
Okay, yeah.
Until the end.
Right. I have same for me. Yeah.
I loved Lost.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I have the entire series on DVD. Christmas and birthdays, they would get them for me until I had them all. After the finale, I have not touched them.
The pariah of your life.
No, I'm like, I cannot. It's on Netflix. I can't watch it. I want
That's like
to.
me and Sex in the City.
I try to go back and watch it, and I just can't.
The Sex in the
just
City's
can't.
second movie ruined all of
I haven't
Sex in
seen
the City
either
for
of the
me.
movies for those.
Just don't.
Why?
Okay, I'm good
If you
with
don't
that.
want it all to be ruined.
Is it like why? I'm not sure why.
Why is a
Yeah.
wonderful question. Like, why did they make that?
Really?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
got you. I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? Okay.
Like, it could have just
But-
ended at the series and been fine.
Right.
I loved the film Super 8.
Super 8 is probably my favorite thing that J.J. Abrams has
Yeah,
done.
I think it
like
is my
Super
favorite
8.
thing that he's done, and
It's good.
part of it was just because the casting and the writing was brilliant for those
Sure,
boys.
I agree.
The casting
Yeah.
for those boys was fantastic.
It was a good-
They just nailed it.
It was a good
And I
movie.
think it actually kind of set the tone for later casting in Stranger Things, because the
Yeah.
two groups of boys reminded me a lot of each other.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
I looked at Tom. We were watching Stranger Things last week, and I looked at Tom and I went, "Are boys really like this? Like when they're by themselves? Are you guys really like this?" And he goes, "Oh yeah,
Especially in the 80s, we were.
oh yeah,
No doubt. On our bikes.
yeah, running
Cruising
around,
through
foul
town.
mouths,
Right. Bucking our parents' wishes.
doing whatever you want."
Smoking cigarettes.
So, yeah,
There's a train wreck, a very, very dramatic and like epic train crash at the beginning of this movie, Super 8. And so,
really awesome.
after seeing it, myself and my very dear friend Marcus will often say, whenever a movie is really just terrible, we will always be like, "That was just like a Super 8 train wreck."
That's an epic train wreck, though. I mean, it's really impressive.
I have not seen any of these movies. I mean,
Oh.
I watched The Force Awakens when
Four
it came
Jamaicans.
out, like
Mhm.
opening weekend, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I liked it, but I'm not a diehard fan. Like, I haven't even seen episodes 1 through 3.
Gotcha.
I've seen
Gotcha.
4 through 6.
Okay, you've at least seen
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Okay, you've at least seen the good.
And I mean, I like
okay.
those. Those are
Right.
good and all that. But I don't know a lot of trivia.
Sure.
I
Sure.
don't know a lot of names. I don't know a lot of history.
Yeah.
I have not seen Rogue One.
Oh, it's so good,
Yeah,
CC.
that's what I
Rogue
hear
One
is
is
good.
great.
It is
really, really
It's,
good.
in my
Yeah.
opinion, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I didn't. I was cautioning myself when I wanted to bring up Star Wars today, because I don't want it to just turn into me just doing a bunch of fan complaining. I think I've probably done enough about that, enough of that on the podcast. So something that comes up for me on the topic of Star Wars, though, is how culturally relevant and important and beautiful it is. There's a great documentary that we have here in our collection. I checked this morning. It's called The People versus George Lucas. Have you guys ever heard of this documentary?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
Okay, so man, I highly recommend it. It's an exploration of all things Star Wars. It's a love letter to Star Wars fans.
Okay.
But more than that, more than any of that, there's an element of this documentary that doesn't have anything to do with Star Wars at all, but instead it kind of has to do with art as a cultural property. Like, so here's what happened, just briefly. George Lucas released his original trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6, in the 70s and early 80s. And then in the mid-90s, he went back to this original trilogy. This is before the prequels, before Jar Jar Binks, before J.J. Abrams, before all of this stuff. And he released this special edition of these 3 movies. And he did a bunch of edits, and he made some changes.
Only on video cassette, right?
Well,
They were
they
in
release
theaters.
the
'Cause I
DVD?
remember.
well, here's the big piece of the controversy is that Lucasfilm and now Walt Disney, since this time will not release the original 1970s and early 80s edits. They're available, but only like through illegal means.
Right.
Right.
Or if like I have them on VHS and I
The
sell
original.
them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Exactly right. So here's where the artistic kind of cultural conversation comes into play. And the question is, when art is released and becomes a piece of the cultural zeitgeist, right?
Okay.
Star Wars was embraced by the world, worldwide. And on this documentary, they have people from countries all over the world, France and Iraq and all these peaplaces that have embraced Star Wars. Whose property is it?
Do we have like
Oh,
3.5 more hours
I
to talk about
know,
this?
No,
right?
This
we
is
have
a
like
big thing
3
for
minutes.
me because
Right?
I go to a lot of shows,
Sure.
and there's a big debate right now whether or not it's cool for people to take out their phones and video, you know, take a photo or
Who does
whatever.
it belong
Yeah.
to?
Who does it belong to? And
Right.
a lot of musicians now are making you lock up your phones,
Yes,
and I
right.
think that's great.
I do too.
Because I don't want to be in the crowd with a bunch of people not paying attention to what's in front of them and just looking at it through their phone. It
Sure.
drives me nuts.
Sure.
And I mean, I can usually shut it off But at the same time, like, it takes away
Sure.
from the, experience,
The pureness
for everybody,
of the
for the
experience,
band,
yeah.
for the crowd, whatever.
100%.
But I also don't think, so people are mad about this because they think they've paid money. They are allowed to experience this the way that they want to.
They're part owners.
And then, right.
Right.
So then again, it goes back to who owns that performance.
Right.
Do the people that buy
Right.
the ticket
Right.
to go see it and create the
Right.
actual performance? Because there's no performance without people there,
Right.
Right. Well, and an interesting side note off of that, in the theater world, we pay royalties to produce a show.
Yes.
And so, like, they tell people before the show, turn your phones off, because a lot of times there's different sound systems. So if your phone can interfere with the sound system, not as much anymore, but it is still somewhat of an issue. And then taking photos and videos of the performance is illegal.
Right.
Right.
Like, we can't do it, you can't do it. Plus, nothing makes me more angry than being in the audience and trying to watch this performance, and there's this bright screen
for sure.
over
For
here,
sure.
Drives me
and all
crazy.
I'm seeing is this bright screen. I have yelled at people
It's like,
in
dude,
theater
put it
For sure.
down.
For
over
sure.
this.
Well, so it's a huge...
Patti Smith herself, okay? I went and saw her a few months back. She walks out on stage and somebody whips their phone out, trying to get a video of her, and she stops the show and is like, "No, we're
Yes.
not.
Yes.
We're not doing that."
I've seen
Yeah.
Louis C.K.
Patty LuPone has done that too,
Yeah.
and like berated this
Yes.
guy from
Yeah.
the
Yes.
stage.
I've seen Louis C.K.
and I think she was
live.
perfectly within her rights to do
He
it.
did the same thing.
I think
Yeah.
we have to look at it from their point of view. And I mean, it's difficult to defend George Lucas because he's a gajillionaire, but it's his thing, though.
It is his thing. It is
and
his
I
thing,
think
right.
while he's still here,
Right.
he gets to say,
It's
you know.
such an interesting. So the biggest, just one little example is Han Solo shooting Greedo in Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. In the original trilogy, Han shot first. He was a scoundrel. He shot dead this other character, an alien character, basically in cold blood. And in the re-release in the 90s, there was this kind of hokey edit where they made Han move his head. It kind of looked a little bit fake. And the alien shot first, and it looked like he was then acting to defend himself.
interesting.
Han Solo was neutered in the 1990s re-release, right? So fans are so angry and upset about it, but George Lucas did it. And my final thought.
You think Disney made him do it?
No, this is way before Disney.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
that's
is
before
way
Disney.
before
Gotcha.
Disney.
Didn't have it
Yeah.
yet.
Okay.
Way before Disney. My final thought, just to confound you listeners even more, there is a picture. You can Google it. It's very well known. It's a picture of George Lucas wearing a T-shirt saying, "Han shot first." And on that
That's
note,
awesome.
Wow,
and
mind
on
blown.
that note, right?
And on that note, that is our show for this week.
Yeah, guys, thanks.
Thanks for joining
again.
us.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's been fun.
Thanks for not turning me off. Okay, bye.